for non-agenda speakers, so we need to hold off on the next, anybody on agenda until after this is done. So
Mr.
Carl
Shaw,
Mahon.
I beg you. I'm coming from a different standpoint. Please, let me just have, I won't even be 3 minutes.
What's the pleasure of the board? Okay, the board said yes.
I come before you as a mother of the most beautiful princess.
Speak into the microphone.
Who is 7 years old.
And your name, please.
Lana Ann Marsh. On any good day, she battles for mental disabilities. If it wasn't for her school, where she goes, Renaissance Charter Central Palm, and her teacher, Ms. Charles, Ms. Diaz, and Ms. Gray, her ASE coordinators, to pick up the slack where public schools unfortunately failed my daughter, and my daughter lost a year of school, her first grade year. Second grade has been all about catching up. If it wasn't for these schools, I wouldn't be able to hold a job where I work at the state attorney's office and practice as well. My husband is a cop. My daughter battles schizophrenia every day. No one talks about mental disability, and I'll be the only one here. I don't want to be that parent 5, 10 years down the road, and I'm not speaking it into my daughter's life, to be on the news and said, I implored the school board to please put police presence on campus, to please give these teachers that work their fingers to the bone, that help my little Josephina manage her daily capabilities with ADHD as well, low spectrum autism, and I can blurt out 3 other personality disorders that she has. And we don't have one mental disability in our family previously. But my princess bounces between 4 to 5 classrooms every day, and these teachers love her, and they make her feel normal and welcome because they accept her. They put their own money in their pockets to help her by putting Velcro under the desk so she can fidget with her ADHD, to help teach her timeouts, to let her call me on their personal cell phones when they run their data because she's having an emotional breakdown and 2 counselors and 3 teachers can't calm her down. Charter schools deserve every penny if afforded to them. And I don't know what charter school starts in August and ends in December, but I'm pretty sure my 16-year-old would love that one. It's not fair. It's just not. If we have this chance to excel, at least give it a term, or I don't know how it properly works in election period. I don't know the right terminology, but give it a try. See if improvements are done. See if good is done with the money. Allocate it as you will, but hear where the feedback, where it's lacking, where it can be improved. Just give our kids a fighting chance, because I choose charter because public failed my daughter. It failed my 16-year-old son, and I'm a charter parent probably for life, as well as my 2.5-year-old son. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes our speakers on agenda items. And somebody had asked why the board does not respond to questions to speakers. And if I had been given an opportunity to explain, the superintendent will respond to anything. And I think Dr. Fenoy would like Mr. Burke to respond to something. Dr. Fenoy.
Yes, there were 2 statements in particular I would love Mr. Burke to explain for the good of the public. There was some numbers thrown out in reference to the per pupil expenditure the district spends. I would love for him to clarify that number, and then also to inform the public how much money the district received in reference to the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Act for security and mental health.
Yes, sir. In response to those comments, I went back and I looked at the Florida Department of Education issues a report every year, so the most recent report would be FY17. You have to wait till all the school districts close their books. So I did a quick comparison of what was spent per student in the neighboring counties. And this is all sources, so it's a lot of times you hear just about the general fund, but this is general fund, special revenue, which is all of our entitlement grants, debt service, capital, everything fully loaded. And when you include all of those sources in FY17, Palm Beach County schools spent $10,903 per student. If you look at Miami-Dade County, they spent $10,902. Broward spent $9,757. And Martin, to our north, spent $11,368. And the variation is really attributed probably to the tax base in each county compared to their student enrollment, and if they do have any additional millages in place that the voters have approved. So you can see there's a pretty tight grouping When you look in the general fund alone, all these numbers hover in the either around $8,000. To the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Act, our school district will receive two sources of money. For security, we're going to receive about $5.9 million. That's not even going to fully cover the 75 new officers we're hiring, let alone their equipment, body armor, uniforms, hopefully some vehicles, that type of thing. The referendum we're proposing, we go well beyond that and actually double the size of our police force. To give you some context, the board's currently spending about $21 million to run our police department. This past school year, we received just $4.3 million from the state. Now with this increase, we'll receive about $10 million, but we're going to spend, closer to $28 million, well beyond what the state provides. And of course, we would like, with the referendum proposal, will allow us to do even much more and properly outfit our police department. On the mental health front, that's the second component. We're going to receive about $3.9 million to serve 187 schools and 170,000 students. Now, $3.9 million, that may sound like a lot, but when you start hiring mental health professionals and you want to staff our schools to meet the kids' needs, it does not go very far. Just to provide one mental health professional in every school would cost you about $14 million. So we're going to have to be very strategic in how we use those resources, and we're working with Mr. Oswald to do that, but we're going to have people that are kind of teamed and dispatched to cases when needed, and it's not going to give you that comprehensive solution we'd like to have. And again, another reason for the referendum proposal, that we could dedicate significant funding to mental health and make sure that all schools are adequately covered so that every student has opportunity for those services. I do want to point out that there's been a lot of talk about us tripling or quadrupling the taxes. The key figures here really is we have seen perennial tax cuts by the Florida legislature. Their focus has been on cutting taxes. And if you go back just 4 years to your school tax rates, we were able to levy 7.594 mills. Now for the upcoming school year, we're going to be levying just 6.572 mills. So the legislature has cut our taxing authority by 1.022 mills over the past 4 years. That represents over $201 million a year. So this proposal to go to a full mill means that's a 0.75 mill increase. It's less than what's been cut by the legislature in recent history. And one of the speakers spoke to it. There's been this perennial rollback of taxes, and it has taken a great deal of funding off the table for Florida's schools. That's why we've seen our Florida funding fall from 36th in the country to 44th in the country as of the latest reports, and that's why we have the struggles we do when it comes to balancing the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Our non-agenda speakers, Carl Mohammed, Nina Wilson, Lowell Levine.